All right, so let's continue with number 17. It wants the median. So again, we could write out every single item, but I'm going to do it differently. I'm going to do it the way we did it in the notes. So first, I want to know how many things we have. To figure out what n is, I just add up all the frequencies. And I'm going to do this probably twice to make sure I don't miss anything. All right, first go around, I got 30. I'm going to do it again to make sure I still got 30. And I did. It turns out that the median is located in the n plus 1 divided by 2 spots. Okay. So in this case, in our case, the median is located in the 30 plus 1 over 2, which is 31 over 2, which is 15.5. I'm going to double check that, I'm sure. Yeah, 15.5. That means it's between, it is between the 15th and 16th spot. Okay. If we have two different numbers there, we have to find the average. So let's just count and see. This is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So that means that it has to be in there, so it has to be 4. Okay. Again, I could list these all out. I could do all 30, and then, just like a data set, just like, looking at something like this, we could set it up and look at it like that. It's kind of fuzzy, but you get it. Okay. Find the mode for number 18. Well, the mode is what shows up the most. All right, well, here's what I'm going to do. Does 32 show up again? It doesn't, throw it away. Does 29 show up again? It doesn't, throw it away. Does 28? Yes. I'm going to circle it. Doesn't mean it's my mode, but it might be. 27 doesn't show up again, etc., etc. Okay, so 28 is the mode. In this course, it's going to be pretty obvious what's the mode. Probably something like this, the only thing that shows up twice or more. If nothing shows up extra, it would be no mode. Let's see. Number 19, find the mode. All right, and they give you the frequency distribution table like this. All you gotta do for this one is find which frequency shows up the most. All right, so I'm looking at frequencies only. 3, 2, 1, 4, 8. All right, 8's the biggest so far. Okay, that means that what's attached to the 8, which is the 5, is the mode because that shows up 8 times. 5 shows up 8 times. I think the confusion here is when you see the 8, don't answer 8. That's the frequency. All right, find the mid-range. Remember, the mid-range is the biggest number minus the smallest number. So first I want to find the biggest. 95 seems to be the biggest. And then the smallest, I'm going to call that the biggest. And the smallest, I think, is 89. So I'm going to add these up. I may have said it wrong. I'm going to add them up and divide by 2. The range is just the difference. So the mid-range is, add them up, 89 plus 95 divided by 2. 89 plus 95 is 184. Divided by 2 is 62. 92, whoops, 92. All right. All right, what if they want the mid-range in a distribution table? Well, I'm looking at, I need the biggest number and the smallest number. That's it. The biggest number, 83. Smallest number is 83. The biggest number is 90. I don't care how many times they show up. I just need those two values. 83 plus 90 divided by 2. Again, you could list them all out, but then you'll still see 83 is their smallest, 90 is the largest. Okay, so 83 plus 90 is 173 divided by 2. I get 86.5. That's okay. Notice it says round to the nearest 10th. Okay. Okay, we did that page. Number 22. It's a stem and leaf plot. It wants the mean and the median and the mode and the mid-range. The easiest thing I found, just so I don't confuse myself, I'm just going to rewrite all of these. The stem is the tens place, the leaf in this case is the ones place. So 30. In fact, before I start doing it, I want to write them in order. Okay, because if I need the median, that needs to happen. So that means I'll do 31, 35, then 37. Same thing here. I'll do the 50, 51, 58, 58. So 50, 51, 58, 58. And then 80 and 86. 80, 86. All right, so they are now in order. I want the mean. I think the easiest way to do it is just add these up. 31 plus 35 plus 37 plus 50, 51 plus 58 plus another 58 plus 80 and 86. I'm going to do this again. Okay, I got 486, but I want to make sure I do it correctly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I can also double check that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Make sure I didn't forget something. All right, so let's do that again. I got 486 again. Divide it by 9. I get exactly 54. That is my mean. My median is what goes in the middle. In this case, our n was 9. So it's going to be the number that is right in the middle. I could cross these out in pairs. I'm going to highlight them because I don't want to scratch it out because I got to do the mode. I will highlight these in pairs until I get to the middle. And then 51 is the one that is exactly in the middle. So that is my median. And my mode is what shows up the most. So the one that shows up the most is this 58. Shows up twice. And then the mid-range. The mid-range means we take the biggest number and the smallest number, and we're going to add those together. So the smallest number is 31, the biggest is 86. Divide those by 2. I got 117. 58.5. And I'll pay attention to what it wants me to round to. All right, 23. We saw this one in one of the videos, in the homework video. All right. In fact, I might have done the exact same one, or very similar. All right. Here we got, this tells us the GPA. This is what each letter is worth practically. So I'm going to write down what each letter is worth next to the letter. In this case, 3, 3, 3, and then C is worth 2. And we're going to multiply these numbers together. Okay? So 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 3 is 9. 2 and 2 is 4. Then I need to add these all together. That'll be my total. So 15 plus 12 plus 9 plus 4 is 40. All right, and this, now we got to find the GPA. So that's my total. All right, once we have the total, in the problem, it tells you how we should do it. We multiply the number, that was our first step. Then divide this sum by the total number of credit hours. So the total number of credit hours is this sum, which is 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2, which is 14. So we need to do the GPA would be 40 over 14. Now, if I do that, I get a weird decimal. I get 2.8571428 and so on. But it wants us to round to the nearest hundred. So I look at what happens after 5. That 7 makes us round up to 6. So 2.86. All right. Number 24, I've answered for you already. This was important, and I mentioned it before as we worked through it. The sum of deviations from the mean to a data set is always 0. Okay, we'll look at examples where that comes into play. Number 25, find the range. The range is just the big number minus the small number. So 24 minus 11 is 13. And this is what I meant about the sum of the deviations. This better be 0 if I do it correctly, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply subtract each of these numbers. You'll get to where you probably will just do this in the calculator. I need to subtract the deviation from the mean. I'm doing x minus x bar. That means, in this case, 30 minus 120, because my x bar is 120. I get a negative number, that is okay. Any number that's less than or to the left of your mean will be negative. All right, 50 minus 120. Okay, so since we know the process, I'm just going to go ahead and do these. 70 minus 120 is probably minus 50. Now they give you the mean. The mean minus itself is 0. 180 minus 120 is 60, and 270 minus 120 20 is 150. Now, we know that part B is 0. Go ahead and write it down. But double check it. Add these up to confirm it. If you did something wrong, well, you know the sum of the deviations is 0. You know this better be 0, so fix where you went wrong. All right, so I'm going to just add these all up and see what I get. And I got 0. Okay, so I did it correctly. Number 27, same thing but decimals. Same thing but decimals, we can handle that. We got to find the mean first. That's okay. So I'm going to add those all up. 2.70 plus 3.25 plus 2.80 plus 2.60 plus 3.40. Okay, we got to add those. We got to see what we get. Since I'm dealing with decimals and it's a good number of these entries, I'm going to go ahead and do this twice. Okay, so I get 1475. I want to do this again. I need to make sure I didn't make a mistake. All right, I get 14.75. To find the mean, I need to divide that by the number of things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I only got 5 of them. Okay. 2.95. I want you to round 2 decimal places. That's what I did. Now we got to find the deviations. Again, part C, the sum of the deviations, we know it better be 0. So just put it down there. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just put these numbers in. I'm just doing 2.70 minus 2.95. And I'll know if I made a mistake because I will add these up to make sure I get 0. If I don't get 0, then there's a mistake. Seems difficult to get 0 with all these negatives. All right, 3.4 minus 2.95. 0.45. These were not in order, but that's okay. Minus 2.2, minus 0.25 plus 0.3. Yeah, with all these decimals, there's a good chance I could make an error, but I got 0, so I'm good. Number 28 says, find the standard deviation. Okay. Okay. I'm going to show you how to do the standard deviation for this one. And then that's probably where we'll stop this video. I'll do this one and then we'll stop because I want to show you all the steps to finding the standard deviation, and then I want to show you how to put it in the calculator. All right. So for the standard deviation, I need to first find the mean. So mean is going to be 12 plus 12 plus 12 plus 12, or those 12s. That's 14 plus 16, all over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So there's 4 of those 12s. Plus 14 plus 16. That's 78 divided by 6. 13. Nice. Okay. So now I have to do this deviations. I got to find all the x minus x bars. In fact, what we did in the notes is I made a table. If I do this by hand, I'm always going to make a table. I'm going to list out all my x's. 1, 2, 3, 4 of those 12s, 14, and 16. I'm going to do 12 minus x bar, which is 13. I get minus 1. In fact, I'm going to get minus 1 for anything that's a 12. Okay, 14 minus 13 is 1. 16 minus 13 is 3. Now, if I were to add all of these up, I would get 0. That's the sum of the deviations. But we need to square each of these values. So minus 1 squared is 1. All right, so I'll get that 4 times for free. Well, positive 1 squared is 1. And then 3 squared is 9. So this is what I want to add up. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I get 14. Okay. Now we need to take that number and divide it by n minus 1. Okay, in this case, n is equal to 6. So 14 over 6 minus 1, 14 over 5 is 2.8. And this is what we take the square root of. So I got the 2.8. I'm going to do second square root button, second answer, and I get 1.67332, etc. It says round 2 decimal places, 1.67. That is a lot of work. That's how you do it. Now, if I want to do this in the calculator, I can. Okay, so here we go, in the calculator. I would learn this anyway, and I would do it as a safety precaution. In the calculator, I'm going to make sure I'm in stat mode. I'm in stat mode. If I wasn't, I could do second stat and push 1 variable just to confirm it. Now I need to I need to clear my data. So go to second stat and clear your data. Do not forget to clear your data before your test and anytime you have to do this. All right, now I need to put the data in. So click data. My first one is 12, but notice this 12 shows up 4 times. So my frequency is 4. Now I can move on to 14. It shows up once, and then 16 shows up once. Now I could have done 12 frequency 1, 12 frequency 1, etc., but it's quicker to do this. I got everything in there. I'm going to do stat var. It's calculating. Look, and we can check some of the things we got. So n equals 6. I got that. X bar is 13. I got that. And then S sub x, 1.67. That is what I got. But it was a lot quicker with the calculator. So I would use that, make sure you can do that. For number 29, so I'm going to do 29 and then we're going to end this video. For number 29, it says use the data to approximate the standard deviation without actually doing it. Okay. So here we go. I'll tell you two things. Your average, let's see, if you added these up, it's probably around 6, right? 12 plus 12 plus 12, that's 36 divided by 3, that's 6. Okay, so each of these things is between 1 and 3 away from the mean. Okay, so we should be able to guess out of all of these options that D is the answer because of that. However, if this is on the test, you probably want to be sure. So even though it says without actually computing the standard deviation, I will say check your work or check your guess by finding the standard deviation. Okay, you can use the calculator or do it by hand, but I would definitely double check and not just use my guess.